That's nice. Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm in a woodland park that I've never visited before, and as you can see, fall foliage is approaching peak. It's frankly absolutely spectacular. Look at the gold and red of the various trees. Got maple, spring gum, sweet gum, beech, so it's going to be almost overwhelming to find a composition, because even though I want to come and do a couple of shoots in this area before, while we still have color, the key is the composition, not just color. You got to have something focal to look at. I'm talking kind of loud because I just learned there are bears in the area, which I should have thought of, but I didn't. So the next time I come here, I'll have a can of bear spray. But I'm going to walk around here. I know there's a cave nearby, so I may try and check that out. There's supposed to be a scenic overlook. I'll check that out. And if I can find some nice intimate details to shoot here in this woodland, I'll shoot that too. This time of year, usually have fungus that's growing. Where I shot a week ago or so, there were people picking wild mushrooms. So those could make interesting photos also. So we'll see what we see. I'm even seeing some birds, some migratory flycatchers and warblers. So this could be a nice long day of both landscape and wildlife photography, as long as that wildlife doesn't include bears. All right, so let's carry on. All right, I've come across my first composition. On my way to the cave, there's this, well, there are a lot of these stone wall boundary walls, I should say. I don't know who laid them, whether it was colonists back in the day or whether it was natives even before then. But this particular one, the large rock that's right here in the front, drew my eye, as it's surrounded by these beautiful leaves. And then, as you can see, you have a very strong leading line up into the background woods. So really, the subject of this photograph is going to be the leaves, not the leaves, the rocks surrounded by the leaves. But it's just the interplay of colors between the two that really draws my attention, especially since the rocks are also covered with lichen. Subscribe. So I'm going to take the shot. My settings are 1/30th at f11, and ISO is, well, let's see, my ISO is 500, but since there's virtually no wind, I'm going to drop that ISO down to 100. And that's going to necessitate me slowing my shutter speed down to about 1/10 of a second. And I'm going to focus stack this so I have it sharp front to back. So here's my first exposure, which I didn't put the 2-second timer on, so I'm going to set the 2-second timer. 2-second timer on the first rock. I'm going to take another 3 or 4 going back into the background, and I may even try a a horizontal shot also, but whatever comes out best, whether it be 1 or 2 photos, you'll see right here. Well, I have a really spectacular old tree in front of me. I've heard of strangler figs that live in the jungle, but I've never seen a strangler maple, but this seems to be one. As I'm looking at it here, it looks like the one tree has somehow, must have been growing right next to the other tree, engulfed it totally as it grew, and the tree that was on the inside is now dead. The outside tree, the maple, is thriving. And it's one of the biggest trees that I've seen around here. I'm framing this up here, trying to isolate that area right where the knot of the tree goes around the other tree. You see there's a dead branch over here to the right, and the other branch over here to the left. but I've got some other trees that are kind of in my way. Not to mention the fact that if I step a little bit to the right, like so, you'll see the other tree that pops out from behind. So I've got to stand in a location that hides the one tree, but allows me to focus in on the subject tree here, and especially where it kind of really wraps around the old dead tree. It kind of looks like an old man in a way, with his two arms, except the two arms belong to two different trees. So I'm probably going to have to stand either right here or maybe slightly uphill from where I'm standing, because I don't want to really get this guy in the shot. And I'm thinking of this as a 1-to-1 ratio, or a square format photo. So I'm going to set up my shot, take a few images, and you'll see the results right here. Well, this is what autumn photography in New York is all about. Even though the light's a little bit harsh right now, fortunately it's kind of partly cloudy and the clouds are kind of dipping in and out. So let me show you the composition I'm looking at right here. I'm still haven't on my way to the cave, but before I even get there, I got a little scene here of that one of those fences that I've been talking about, with these ferns that are right over here. Just a nice foreground element leading into the fence, leading into the trees that are right now gloriously lit with sunlight. I'll probably take this image, but I think I'm also going to wait to take another one once the sun gets behind the cloud again, because for me, woodland photography is best in subdued light. You get fewer harsh highlights. You can bring out the shadows better. So I prefer clouds, which is what we've had most of the day, but as I'm looking at right now, the sky's starting to break up a bit. So my opportunity for more light in the way that I really like it is probably dwindling. So I'm going to grab this shot here, take another one once the clouds cover up. Actually, I'm probably going to have to focus stack this, although the problem with the sun is that every time the sun comes up, the wind kicks up, and that makes the foliage move, and that's going to complicate my exposures. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it. So right now, I've got 1/8 of a second at f13 at ISO 100 with my 16mm lens on. I'm probably going to, actually it's starting to cloud up a little bit now, so I'm going to take my first exposure right here, exposing for the foreground. And fortunately, the wind seems to have kicked back a bit, so I'm going to take a few more exposures right here. And now the sun just came back up, so that's going to make this background a bit brighter. But I may we'll see what happens. It's best if we're going to focus stack to get all the shots in similar light. Actually, right now, that's actually a little bit better because the sun just went down, and of course, as soon as I say that, the cloud comes back up. But anyway, I'm going to take a series of these shots, and what comes up next, or what comes up best, you'll see right here. So behind me here is what might or might not be Leatherman's Cave. And I say that because there are a number of caves and crevices right along this cliff face, which where somebody could shelter if they had to. Spoiler alert, this isn't Leatherman's Cave. I actually found it later, but on the way to explore it, I tripped over a rock and barely missed smashing my entire face. So I was pretty shook up, and I just left without taking any pictures or video. The Leatherman, as he was known, was a trapper and woodsman who lived in the area in the late 19th century and sheltered in places like this. Well, when he was in the area, or when he was traveling between here and Connecticut to sell his skins that he caught. And he was called the Leatherman because he always wore basically a hand-sewn leather clothing from the animals that he had trapped. So he would stay in caves like this, and pretty much always took the same route. What I can say is that this cliff face is spectacular. I can definitely see a lot of interesting rock formations and details. And I'm going to take my camera and shoot around quite a bit. And what I capture in the area, you're going to see. You got ferns growing out of the rocks over here. You got the rocks themselves that have different type of strata in them, and of course the colorful autumn leaves and foliage all around. So I think there's definitely a few compositions to be had here. And so rather than setting up each one and walking you through it, I'm just going to put up a collection of what I gather, which I think will be several shots. So here we go. Now to get down. Come to my last landscape location for the day. The sky is now totally blue, the light's getting kind of harsh, but behind me is a really spectacular pair of maple trees which are fully illuminated in the sun now, and I can't pass up this shot. So I've got a polarizer, in fact, on the lens right now to really bring out the colors in both the leaves and the sky. And I think this is going to be a pretty decent shot even for a bluebird sky shot. So I've already taken a couple of shots. I might try a couple of more different compositions. And whatever I get, you'll see right after this. In fact, after I shoot here, as I go back to the car, I'm going to put my birding lens on the camera, because I've seen a number of migratory birds and some residents like nuthatches and such. I'll try and get a few bird shots, and I might pop those up at the end of the video also. I decided to show this photo now instead. This black-billed cuckoo is the first such bird I've ever seen. And while it's far from a perfect photo with that twig obscuring its head, I'm pretty happy with it overall. And if you've liked what you've seen throughout this video and you want to see more of it, please give me a subscription if you're not already subscribed. Hit the notification bell so that next time I upload, you'll see it right away. And any likes, first, give me a like if you definitely liked it, and give me an unlike if you didn't like it. Either way, it tells YouTube that you're interested. And any comments that you have will also help the channel and help the YouTube algorithms, say that this is an interesting channel that more people would want to see. So I hope to see you next time. I'm definitely going to be back in this park for more autumn photography while the colors are just spectacular. And until then, I'll see you. Bye.